I'm live. How are you? You should be seeing me. Let me get in and take a quick look. I'm verifying. I'm again all by myself here. We had all kinds of technical issues, as you can imagine. Takes about 30 seconds. There's about a 30-second delay. Hold on one second. I'm live. All right, left the camera on. So let me get over so I can see where I am. I'm here. You can see me okay, and a little bit off to the side. So how are you doing? It's a crazy morning. It's really crazy. I didn't realize I sent this off on East Coast time, so I set it up last night to go out and let you guys know because I knew I was going to be busy this morning. And then I wake up and get everything going. I get to the gallery and it's like, oh no! I check my email. So sorry about that. But it's actually one of the things that I really want you and I to focus on. So what I want you to be thinking about is what you can do as an artist. And in a way, think about how you have maybe started to kind of dumb down what you think you can do. And I know I'm saying that in the negative. I'm saying that in a negative way, especially using that word dumb down. But I think it's kind of an important way to look at this idea of how art is about beauty, potential, vibrancy, but it's a very scary thing. And creating art is probably one of the scariest things I can personally imagine, except for having kids and you know all the stuff that you go through there. It is so scary to create something from your soul and have that go out there. No wonder we put blankets and we layer on all of this protection to help us in this journey. Some of those protections are, I'm not this. I can't do this. I don't have that skill. We start to close down our identity to say what we can and can't do. And one of the things, because this is a definitive thing that happens to us. So one of the things that some artists will do when they have to, like for example, architects. There's one main architect, but one main architect can't make a building and can't iterate through all of the designs. So they need to have a team that iterates through designs and helps them develop and look at things differently. So they have to have a team. So how do you get a team to break through all of that and start to create all of the creative potentials and explore all of the patterns? How can you do that? And one of the things is design process. And if you haven't seen Gurmak's webinar, make sure you check out that webinar, because you see his design iterations. And mentally he does one very important thing. He doesn't get caught up in, this is me, this is what I can do, or I have to present this to somebody else, or they're going to like this or they're not going to like this, right? There is a time and a place for that level of judgment, but in a traditional structured iterative workflow, the whole point is to be exploring patterns and potential and start to get as many cool things out there as possible. So think about what could happen if you weren't with that, you didn't have that layer of judgment and criticism kind of holding you back, but you were to just sit down and start to iterate through, create, no that didn't work, create, no that didn't work, create, I like that, start to move in this direction. Do me an exercise, right? Sit down and start to just draw anything and watch what happens, but commit to doing this for about an hour, or commit to it for about a half hour, 45 minutes. Just start doodling, and see if you can go 45 minutes doodling, drawing, just like a child, scratch on it, draw over. See if you can go 45 minutes without one idea popping up, without one idea hitting you and going, oh, that's kind of neat. As soon as you have that idea, turn the page. Iterate on that idea, draw, just go crazy on that one idea until another idea joins it. And then when that happens, turn the page, create another one. Those two sketches, they don't exist. They're irrelevant. So we don't even need to think about those or worry about those. What we need to be thinking about is moving forward. How do you do something that was totally impossible before? How do you work at the leading edge of your ability? You just keep moving forward. That's why it's the leading edge. So, how are you this morning? Let me get some questions. I want you guys to ask questions because I don't do these things too terribly often, although I love doing that. And I'm in my gallery, and it's not really set up for that. You can probably hear some echo. But let me see how you guys are doing. Can you hear me okay? I'm going to type. Yeah? All right. So, what is it that you want to be doing? Do you want to be a character artist? Do you want to be an environment artist? Do you want to be a model or a texture artist? What is it that you want to be? Tell me. Oh, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. Hal, I'm echoing, and it's fine now. Okay. It's probably when I talk a lot, it kind of focuses the audio. So tell me, what do you want to be doing? What's the kind of main goal for you? And while you're writing that out, Mark, this is not pre-recorded, this is live. Thanks, DOW2 fanboy. Glad that they're helpful. All right, so answers are coming in. Frode wants to be character artist, right? Who else? Trying to become a character artist. So, sculpting 3D models for prints, everything. P3DR, this is an active chat. I'm here. I'm in the gallery in Laguna Beach. We don't have it completely set up yet, but it's going to be set up November 3rd. So I'm just here broadcasting because I want to talk about Gurmak's class. And Gurmak's class, which I'll tell you right now, it's not just Gurmak. Actually, Josh Herman of Marvel is going to be joining, and they're going to be doing 2 classes. That's why I've got this on this special domain, Concept Art Workshops, because this is really a way for you and I to break through this idea of, what is character art? Character art is, you got to learn anatomy, you got to learn all this stuff. Instead of thinking about it just on that level, what I want you and I to get involved in is this idea of moving forward, iterating, and creating, on this kind of forward, the leading edge of our ability, basically. So Gurmak is right there with this hard surface, which is becoming a massive asset in anybody's portfolio. One of the things that I've noticed over the years is that character artists don't start as character artists because everybody wants to be a character artist, and there's a lot of competition. And who do you think gets the best jobs as character artists? Is it the best person, right? Well, what happened to world peace, right, if we live in that imaginary land? The person who gets the character job is usually somebody who is the best, but within the sphere of influence that the people hiring know, or that the people who influence the decision have some knowledge of, right? Proximity is power. So what you and I need to be thinking about is yes, I want to be something like a character artist, but my first job, my first step, get in the door. Even before that too, my first step is just to help people become aware of me. How do people become aware of me and what I can do? We need to find ways to make that happen. So this is where concept becomes really important, because a really good concept out there on ZBrush Central or ArtStation or any of these other sites, a really good concept starts to get attention. It really gets a lot of attention. When you get that attention, that's a moment in time when you can now start to reel people into you. Most of the guys I know, like Vitaly Bulgarov, number one, an amazing artist, an amazing guy. Much of his career comes from the 6 months that he spent iterating through on one model And then somebody at Blizzard saw him and was like, this guy's insane. Because he is. He's just amazing. And you can see the work Vitaly Bulgarov does now. That level of work, he's at the forward edge of it. That level of work is not being done by a lot of people. It's much more than just kit bashing. He's literally creating the kits. And the kits that everybody will use. They're amazing kits. I've seen them. So, getting somebody's attention with a concept is one of the primary ways people get jobs. But it's hard to create a concept that really works. That's why you have to iterate and iterate and iterate. I'm going to check out comments right now. Raphael, I have a question related to this choice. How wise is it for a beginner to actually make the choice before getting a first foot in? Raphael, what does that mean? You're wondering about the demand for environment? Yeah, totally. As a mathematician, I also think of rigging. Riggers are always needed, as Alex says, so yeah. The primary thing is get a foot in the door, right? Or, as they say, get in proximity. Okay, proximity is power. So people are at ArtStation, they're at ZBrush Central. They're all of these places. So you want to be where those people are, and you want to try to find a way to the top. So proximity is power. Right? You can move to Los Angeles and still not be within proximity of the guys at Blizzard and the guys at Naughty Dog and Sony and all of those places. You could hang out at the bars that they go to after work or the cafes that they go to after work and still not be in proximity, right? You have to get into proximity in their mind, and that's on the websites, and that's in your character art, your environment, your concept. It's your concept work that is along a certain trajectory. So you're not just creating your work, you're creating your work that you want other people to experience. This is a really important thing because a lot of time artists, they get into this identity mode and they're like, I only create this. I only create monsters. I only create, right? But when the goal is a job, because I understand that other road. I'm a big like fine art kind of snob. I only like this, for myself. But when your goal is a job, because my goal was that at one point. When your goal is that job, you have to marry the two worlds so that you are creating work that is you, but it also connects with somebody else. That's why one of the things that a lot of people will recommend, and I agree, is if you want to work at Blizzard, you create work that looks like Blizzard. Or it looks like something that somebody would want to do at Blizzard. Not that looks like something somebody did last year, but looks like something they might do in a year. And then they're thinking, oh man, this guy totally understands what we're talking about. Let's bring him in for an interview. And all you do, you spend 6 months on concepts along these lines, and then you start posting at ZBrush Central and ArtStation. It's not automatic, but look, once you're in the door, you're in that door. I mean, you can get laid off and all of these other things can happen, but there's a big difference between working as a night restocker at Costco and I got laid off from my job at, Blizzard or Naughty Dog, right? There's kind of a big difference. One kind of sucks. The other one is a long slog uphill through the freezing rain and sleet and snow barefoot as you're trying to kind of make it to school. One is hard. I was a night restocker at Costco once. That screws up your biology, That was hard. I've worked in warehouses. I've done construction. I was a roofer for a day in the Kansas heat until I had heat stroke. I don't even remember the rest of the day. I just remember sitting underneath a tree like Buddha, but it was not a religious experience. I was near a stroke, I think. Kansas was in the summer. It's like 100 and something degrees out there and hot tar, and you're on a roof. And not the wisest thing I did. I've done a lot of stuff. I had to give plasma. Plasma. They actually take your entire blood cycles, blood out of your body, runs it through a machine, extract plasma, and then put it back in. What? I did that for $15 for a utility knife. For a utility knife and gloves, so I could go be a roofer for a day. That's a hard life. I'm gonna tell my kids that, That's gonna be something. It's like, you want what? When I was your age, Getting your foot in the door changes the entire equation. Let me check. There is a lag, by the way, guys. There's a 30-second lag, so you write and it takes me a while to see it. Raphael, I'm also wondering about working abroad or freelance. And I can tell you guys, most of the people I know now, and not just in CG, but most people now, it's almost like working freelance. So you might be a concept artist for this company and you're like the main go-to person for them, but you're probably freelance. Or a lot of people just work from home nowadays. And that's everywhere. That's in all disciplines. I have a friend in Austin, Texas that's coding. I've got a friend that's in marketing over there in Austin, and the same kind of thing that's happening there. We have friends of our daughter's school that we meet there. These people, like doctors, they go into office 2-3 days, the rest they're at home, right? Everybody's kind of, whether you're abroad or not, there is so much flexibility now. The key thing, though, is concept. What am I creating? That's what we got to do. That's why I'm doing this, is because it's not just, can I model this gun? No, it's not that. It is, that's the baddest gun I have seen. Who did that? I need to see that. Or, man, I need a gun like that for this game. Now I'm in proximity in some guy's brain at Naughty Dog, and there we go. P3DR. If I want to break into the industry as character artist, where do I start? Again, proximity is power. That's where you start. You start by getting yourself into proximity. And you get yourself into proximity not just by physical location, because that's not enough, right? We're artists. You could put somebody right next to me. I'm not necessarily going to start talking to them because I'm, a little antisocial. You put somebody right next to my wife, she's going to know everything about them in like 30 seconds flat. Okay? Physical proximity is not the big issue. It's mental proximity because we're internal. So everything's here. So I see something on ArtStation. I see something in this other place. You gotta work the concept. You gotta get into their brain. And as I'm saying this, I know one of the things that you're thinking, one of the things that going on in your mind is, but I'm not a concept artist. I can't do this. That's BS. That's why I'm doing this. It's for that one belief and that one belief only. I wouldn't be interested in teaching you just how to draw. That's not interesting. What's interesting to me is breaking down that barrier in our mind that says, I am not, because that's BS. There are so many things that we thought we were not, and we've done it. Right? You've accomplished so much already. So I know that for a fact, the best way to get a job is to be in proximity in somebody's brain, is to put together a killer concept. I know you can do that, but you need to know the process. You need to be guided through the process, not how do I draw? Screw that. Okay, I know people who sculpt like gods, and they can't draw to save their lives. Draw, but they still draw and map everything out. The issue is, am I moving forward or am I stuck? Am I moving forward or am I stuck? That's the only issue. Move forward. Then we can talk, how do I get moving forward faster? Right? And that's where we go through these processes. This is what Gurmak showed in his webinar. He showed all of these stages that he did. So I know you can do it, and I know I can guide you through that. That's why I'm sitting here this morning. That's why I'm doing this, is because I know this can be done. And not only that, but it has to be done. Because this is the next level. It's not enough to know ZBrush or know Modo. Knowing Keyshot and ZBrush, that's good. That can get you a job, but it's only going to get you a job for a year and a half max. After that, you got to have your design brain in, and you got to iterate. Design is experience. It's not a gift from God. Design is experience. That's why architects tend to be old and white and wizened by the time they're cherished. It's myelin. You have to build that creative myelin. It's something you and I forgot because our culture doesn't support that, understandably, because it needs engineers and doctors and, coders and things like that. Creative people, their value tends to be on a longer spectrum. So I can get why it happens that way, but that's culture, that's other people. You and I, for us to thrive, we need to be focusing on these things that we've forgotten. I'm gonna check out comments. In fact, let me make sure you guys can still hear me. I'm just coming over a cold. Thanks, Farrah Mix. I don't like to cuss because sometimes there's younger people in these. Okay. Mark, I'm working as an animator in the nuclear industry. Whoa. I want to work in video games. Am I completely wasting my time even though I am technically animating right now? So this is a couple of different questions going on here. Number one, you have a job and it's in the arts. It's not sexy. So you want it to be sexy. Video games is sexy, but trust me, once you go into video games, then you'll see, well, that's not so sexy either, right? Okay, that 12-hour work day for 14 days in a row, if you like your people and your team, then that can be really cool. But if you have kids and you've got other stuff going on, that can be really stressful. Really stressful. So you have a job, it is paying money, right? So now the next question is, what do you want to do with your life? Right? Because you're at a point, a stable point. So what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to work in video games and create them? And if you do want to do that, you're not wasting your time here. This is providing for you. But you want to start to think about, how do I get myself to that next level? And there's plenty of artists and students and people I've known through the years that you have to have that stable job. You have to do that. As artists, we're gifted with this vision of what we want to do, and you could say we're kind of gifted with this rock of what we got to do. It keeps us grounded. So, what do you want to do? That's really the key question. And all we got to do is just plot our course through there. Nothing's wasting time. But you saw in Gurmak's webinar, Gurmak was an architect and he wanted to do concept because architecture was unstable, which it is. It's a very difficult industry. What he was doing, what he was able to offer concept artists, totally changed the game, in my opinion. It took him a long time, but what did he do? He focused on concepts. He focused on creating concepts and ideas that he could post, that people could relate to, and those concepts eventually got him work. That's what we're talking about. Put yourself into the proximity of other people's minds that need this work, and you'll get that call out of the blue, and it all comes together. So what you're doing right now is not a waste, Mark. What it is revenue in your business, because you're self-employed. Now, invest that revenue in projects that will help you reap rewards and new revenue and go into new business models in the future. Remember, you're a business, you're a freelancer whether you work for somebody or not. DOW, hey, how would you go about a job as a 3D printing artist, making figurines for comic book stores? That's a tough one. So do you have a niche? There's a friend of mine, she created with a bunch of friends Hero Forge. And they kickstarted Hero Forge doing exactly that. So you have to find, it depends on if you're looking for a job or if you're looking to create a company. But in all areas, what you and I have to do is we have to find how we can be valuable to somebody else, right? This is part of the proximity thing. How can we be valuable? You want to create hero figurines, things of that nature. How can your activities be so valuable to people that they would want to do it, right? And so this is Hero Forge. This is the story of Hero Forge. They kickstart this and they think, hey, people are tired of those little figurines. I'm going to start a company that allows you to customize it. And so now you create all of these, and we partner up with Shapeways. Shapeways prints them. We send them to customers, but we make them and we create this interface that you can do it. How can you be of value to the people who collect figurines? That's what we try to figure out. Brett, no, I don't live in Kansas. I was in Kansas for a summer. When I was young. When I was young, I was crazy. We moved. By the time I was 21, I had moved 24 times. It was crazy. But I was in Kansas for a summer, and we were on like a William S. Burroughs road trip, right? Or Jack Kerouac, whichever one you want to take. I'm in Laguna Beach now. Francisco. Yes, you're right. Walter is saying his foot in the door was as a tester for MicroProse, and then off hours he worked labs with 3D Studio and Alias, and the rest is history. And so now he's working, right? However you get into proximity. Okay, got a lot of comments, and this is a little tricky. Okay. Malcolm, what should I learn first, ZBrush or Maya? I actually talked to a developer that works at my dream studio. He said the studio will finally be switching to ZBrush over Maya. Okay, so what program do I work with first, right? There's many considerations to this. One is, what's my job skills going to be? Do I fit with this? And so you go online and you look at what people do for a living, and you look at these jobs and you're like, well, they say I need Maya, I'll tell you a secret. You create a kick-ass concept, they will train you on anything that you need. Most HR people think software is just whatever. It's like, okay, so I got to teach this person how to use Word or Excel, whatever, right? Doesn't matter. But an artist, see, artists were like these special beasts. So if another artist comes to HR and they're like, I need this artist, and we're going to hire this artist, HR don't understand us. They just don't. So they don't know, they can't evaluate my skills and do I have good anatomy, anything like that. They got no idea. Create a concept that kicks serious ass. They will train you on anything. So what software helps you create a concept that kicks ass? That's the question. ZBrush, Keyshot, Maya, Max, all of that. But which ones have the smallest learning curve? ZBrush, Keyshot. Now, ZBrush hits a plateau with hard surface, as Gurmak talked about in his webinar. So you have to do Maya. Maya is not simple. Maya is a 3-month learning curve. So we go from there. Zani Chan, 25 years old, self-taught artist. I wish to live from being an artist or in a company as a freelancer. Is there a chance for me? There is a chance. There is always a chance. Nobody's going to stop you, my friend, except for you. That's the only person who can stop you. Okay? If you really doubt this, read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. It's an old book, granted. It's an old book. But humans can do anything. The primary problem with can I do this, the way in which somebody can say I can't do this, it's almost never ability, it's time frame. So however much ability you have, you add time to the equation, you'll get more ability, or you'll find ways around ability. Okay? Ability is kind of irrelevant if you look at it from a time perspective. Enough time, right? How does somebody run Microsoft? How does Bill Gates, or did Bill Gates? How does the president run the United States of America, right? How does one person do this and still sleep at night? How do they do that? They have to consider all the problems within a time frame. They got to make sure that they have abilities that work with that time frame. And if they don't have the abilities, they need to swap out abilities. Hold on one second. Let me check. Okay. So they got to swap out abilities or add more time. It's always this equation. Time. Yes, you can do it. Can you do it tomorrow? I couldn't do it tomorrow. Nobody can do it tomorrow. Can you do it in a year? Yes. Can you do it in 5 years? Yes. Can you do it in 10 years? Yes. Absolutely. No question in my mind. Alex, you need a box modeling program? Sure, but don't get stuck on which one you choose. Yeah, good choice. ZBrush and Oculus? I don't know. That would be cool. Mark, the problem is I'm the only artist here. I have no one to learn from. Yes, I totally get that, Mark. And this is the other side of proximity. So, if we as artists, we need surroundings. So proximity is power. We put ourselves in proximity to other people to establish the jobs. We also need to be within proximity of other artists and other people, right? That just has to happen. That's a very important thing. So one of the things people do, of course, is they take classes for that. That's one of the things I've seen. One of the primary drivers actually for courses isn't so much that I need to learn the skill, it's that I need to be in proximity with other artists. I mean, that's just one of the primary ways. The other way is you go into forums, Red Dagger. ZBrush Central is a really intimidating forum, right? You get into ArtStation or Facebook groups, that's another one. And then you got to really think about how this is going to work, okay? Because think about Andrew Wyeth. Andrew Wyeth's in like some small town, and you know, not a lot of people were doing realist work, but Andrew was doing realist work. So how was Andrew able to sustain this? Okay, it's not just in proximity to other people. You have to put yourself in proximity to other thoughts, reading, okay, but also doing. One of the things that you'll also see, I think you'll see, is as you institute a practice. So yeah, I understand you're in this, you're the only artist, there's not a lot of artists around you. So start to institute practices where you put yourself in proximity to yourself. Start to create your work. Because what I hear you really missing is you're missing a core of what you are as an artist. And you're an artist in this job. It's not the artist you want to be or thing you want to do, but you're an artist in this job, but you're all kind of by yourself, right? So you can either take classes, get involved with communities, but all of these are external anyways. You've got to also start to get in proximity to the artist inside. And there's a reason why you're not right now. There's a lot of rules and beliefs and all kinds of stuff. So if you can, I'd suggest checking out the 30-day challenge that I have. It's a beast, but it is designed to put you in proximity to yourself and walk you through your rules, your beliefs, and get you thinking about things. And I've had several just really successful outcomes with people. So I'd recommend that. But in the absence of that, draw every day. And in that little act of drawing, you're going to notice a couple of things. One, you may not like your drawing. Two, you're judging your drawing. Right? Three, you're maybe a really critical judge. So, how do you get better at anything? Do you like yell at it? No, you gotta love it. So you gotta learn to get rid of that critical voice and build love for the process. So you gotta learn to sketch and sketch from a place of love, or it's just going to be a nightmare. So check out the 30-day challenge though. Veramix. Yeah. Malcolm. Yeah. Freud, what platform do people use to get freelance? So there are platforms, Elance, things like that. But again, the biggest platform is you putting awesome work out there that somebody sees. ArtStation, ZBrush Central, DeviantArt, whatever, right? Facebook. The best platform is the work you do. You are the best platform. And this is really, I mean, I know I'm harping on this, but there's a reason, and it's I've got this class and I've got Josh Herman, and I'm focusing on concept right now because over the last 10 years, this has been the single biggest determiner on whether somebody got a job. It's not, hey, this guy knows Maya and that guy knows 3D code. Which one do I take? I mean, that's child's play. It's that guy rocks the Casbah and this guy, well, he can do some technical stuff. That's what we're talking about. The platform is you. You are your own platform. You're your own company. You're your own marketing. You're your own platform. You're your own communications. You and I, it's not, especially in today's world. I mean, I run a company and we're successful at what we do, but you talk to me. I'm here doing this. I don't have somebody else here doing this because that's not the world we live in. We don't live in a world where people communicate via proxies anymore. We talk together. I get to talk directly to you about what's important to me and to the company. Same thing for you. You get to talk directly to the people who are hiring you through your work, through your Facebook posts, through the way you act in social media. Alpha. Ryan, I already have software and tool knowledge. Do you think that the class will help me make a killer concept and bring it into proximity that can... Yes, Alpha, absolutely. That's what it's designed for. It's the only reason I'm running this, because concept is not the thing. It's not an area that, before I'd spent much time in. But I have been training people for 6 years in my own company and 6+ years before that. And tool-based training isn't cutting it for people anymore. Now it's concept. Now it's the level of quality that you have to present today is so high. One of the things that did that is Keyshot. Just throwing up a Maya wireframe or a ZBrush wireframe is not good enough because you can get photoreal results in Keyshot in minutes. You just got to know what to do. You got to have a workflow, right? Photoreal results. So you're talking about a moment in time when two people can do the exact same amount of work on a model, but one of them takes a half hour extra and does a Keyshot render, and one of them just pulls out something out of Photoshop, right? This is two totally different levels of presentation, and they're stratospherically different. They're perceived differently. Because once you go into photoreal, this is when normal people suddenly understand. And they're like, oh, I love that. And they get behind it. As opposed to something that's in Photoshop and it's kind of arty, and then an artist can be like, yeah, I get where they're going with that. Nah, totally different world now. Photoreal concepting. That's where it is. And then, of course, iteration. So we know presentation is a massive factor. And iteration, being able to iterate through and create concepts that are valuable, these are the two core ideas that really got me involved in this. Because before, like 2-3 years ago, it was photo bashing and, remember, I've been around for a while and I've seen a lot of things happen. So a lot of the stuff that you see people doing in classes now, like photo bashing, they take photos and they put them all over each other and they bash. This is stuff that they've been doing in film, effects houses and in concept houses. These are things that like Aaron Sims was doing 10 years ago, right? It's coming now and it's becoming more popular with some of the people teaching classes now. But this is all going to go away. What's really now, what I see 5 years down the road, what I see is that if you don't have an iterative design process, if you don't have the ability to go through designs quickly, and start to sort things out and develop that lifespan, then you're not going to be as successful as somebody who can. Because the level of depth that people expect from work now is more. Before it was like, yeah, that's an image, I like it, okay, now we're going to go and we're going to build the set. Or yeah, this is great, I like it, this gives me some inspiration, now we're going to go and we're going to digitally model this and we'll create a map and all of that stuff. And then the effects elements that you and I would be responsible for creating, they're just kind of thrown in the background. It's not like that now. Now it's entire worlds. So Avatar is not just this character. No, it's an entire world. James Cameron had 5-6 concept artists in his house for months. Just, hey, freelance, submit this thing. No, they lived right there for months so that they could dive deep into it. And when they dove deep into it, you're talking about billions of dollars. Billions. I mean, and that's one Avatar. 3 of them, right? Or Star Wars coming, oh my God. That'd be $1 billion in one day, right? Did you see the trailer last night? Oh, goosebumps, man. My entire childhood. What I'm doing today comes from that, you know? So it's not enough to just one-off this. You and I need to get in and create worlds. But that's what we want to do anyways. That's why we're artists, is we get off on creating these worlds. All right, let me check out. How's my connection? Good. Okay. Yeah, this is great. I'm glad Lawrence and Walter brought this up. 3D medical, and then also Black & Decker, Under Armour, industrial design. This is where things are going crazy, because it used to be just film and games that hired concept people. That's not the case anymore, right? And you got a case of Vitaly Bulgarov. Vitaly Bulgarov worked for a startup company in San Francisco that does medical devices. He develops medical robotic surgical arms that don't scare the hell out of a kid. That's awesome. That's like world changing. It's not just, hey, let's create a game. No, it's like, let's create a product that every human is going to love. Every human's going to love. Black & Decker, Under Armour, right? Medical devices, all of that stuff. I mean, it's all changing. But these guys don't understand concepts like they were presented before. They understand keyshot concepts. They get that. So you got to have those tools, and you got to have that process, because they're also used to iteration. They're also used to having options and, you know, ways in which we can go. Mondo, man, Star Wars trailer made you oh man. I'm like there, I watched it twice. I'm welling up. My wife is next to me, and she's from Delhi, India, and so she has a totally different cultural heritage. Like all of her movies and films are all Bollywood, right? So she's kind of like side-eyeing me. Okay, Ryan's having a moment. I'll just pat his head, and I'm like, oh. All right. Let's take a look. Xenographics, getting in late. So maybe, is this workshop going to be about concept art in general or focused on particular software? So this is, and actually it's multi-part, okay? I'm kind of unfolding this because I'm trying to figure this all out. You know me, I mean, I do a lot of things, but I'm not really focused on just releasing this product or that thing. What I'm trying to do is find ways to make an impact on myself, and from myself also you. And so what we're looking at right now with Gurmak's class. Gurmak's class is hard surface and design. Right? Now we're adding on to this. We have a webinar on Thursday. We're adding on to this Josh Herman, and Josh is going to be ZBrush and a little bit more character, but still some kind of hard surface stuff. So he's going to focus on robotic stuff. So we've got spaceships here with Gurmak, and in spaceships he's going to talk about all of these designs and iterations and the way in which it creates a living environment. He's going to look at it from an architect's perspective. Josh is going to be over here, and Josh is going to be looking at this from, say, robotic and kind of the character design perspective, and he's going to be creating it using ZBrush and some Maya and Keyshot, of course, and whatnot, to kind of go through that iterative process as well. Now, in the middle of that, we're looking at the potential, and you tell me if you, but we're looking at the potential for me to put together an introduction to 3D concept, because What we really need is a series of tools. I need 2 people, I need an architect, I need an artist, because these are the guys that are driving this forward. Design and eyeballs. And then we need this foundation of make sure you know ZBrush, make sure you know Keyshot, make sure you have a sense of Maya, right? Maya takes a little bit of time, but what we're probably looking at is a triad, and you tell me if this is interesting, right? You're probably looking at a triad of Gurmak, which is going to be focused on concept. But it's not concept as in, hey, I'm going to draw a spaceship today and then I'm going to draw another spaceship. No, it's I'm going to concept this so that it could literally be built. Like you could hand these plans to somebody to manufacture. Then we're going to go over here with Josh and we're going to be like on a time schedule, slowing it down, speeding it up, and then I can provide the foundation. Leonardo, I love this question, thank you. Can I be better in drawing, sketching using software, or is there a huge gap from drawing by hand? There's differences, of course. Like, it's easier for me to draw with a pen. Drawing with a pencil is weird to me. Or drawing with charcoal. I can draw really well with charcoal, right? We have these picadillos, and it's not that drawing in Photoshop or by hand or anything like, it's not about whether one's digital or traditional. It's whether or not something's going to fit you and your picadillos, right? Your little kind of nuances and, my own weirdnesses, right? So I don't know why pen works, but our job as artists is to devour the entire world of potential. So we try all kinds of things and then find what kind of really works for us. And then that's that, If it works for us, it works for us. We can start to move in other directions. But we're not on this planet so that we can just draw in Photoshop. I'm not on this planet so I can just draw in pencil, I don't live by this guide like in order to be an artist you have to be able to draw well in pencil or well in this or, screw that. I mean, that's somebody else's life. That's not my life. My life is to have fun, create, do right by my kids and my wife and make artwork that's just awesome to me. That's what we're here for is for us to create our own artwork, right? And then we just got to talk people into paying us to do it. All right, let's see. Jeff, what's the best way to get experience with Keyshot? Who doesn't have the ability to purchase such it is expensive, isn't it? Try the ZBrush one. And then otherwise, the thing with Keyshot is it's really simple, but it wants you to do things a certain way. So any kind of variation is not simple and can be quite complex. And it's also very different than other. To learn how Keyshot works, you're going to have experience in it. You're going to have to work with it in some capacity to kind of get a sense of all that's possible. Now, one of the variables is you take a class like this because you've got Gurmak and you've got Josh, and you just get those recipes. That's what's going to be really important, is the recipe so that you can write that down and you can say, did this, did that, did that. Keyshot's big on recipes. So I think just getting those recipes is going to be very important. Because I've looked for things on Keyshot, like how do you do a clay render in Keyshot? It's not out there, right? How do you create a photoreal clay render and add noise and all that stuff? It's just not out there. I mean, you have to take these classes. I mean, classes too, because that stuff's not out there. Oh, just jumped in. Yeah, Josh is in. We're going to have a webinar with him Thursday, Armando. I think. Please help me. Gunray, how are you? It's been a while. What is better to get noticed? Doing orcs, guns, porn, elves? Fair enough. Yeah. All right. So you have to put yourself in proximity to their brains. So Porn elves might, I mean, it's going to put you in proximity into almost any male of age, their brain, right? But the key thing is get strategic, Gunrik. And because I know you've been at this for a while and you want to start to really make some headway and go in a certain direction. So let's get specific. Pick a company. Pick 2 artists that work at that company and 2 of the properties that that company is working on. Look at some of the backstory for those characters. Look at the art that these 2 artists have created and start to create one of those characters, one of those machines, one of those things, right? It could be an environment, it could be a prop, a machine, a car, or it could be a character like a porn elf, right? And work on that, thinking about these 2 artists. Okay, make sure it depends on which artist you've picked, because it could be an artist that's on their way out or not. But anyways, the idea is you start to think about this person while creating this artwork. But you want to try to this thing. You don't want to copy them. So you don't want to be thinking about necessarily just exactly what they would do or what they did. You want to think about what they would do. What would they do, right? There's a thing they call modeling. They do this in the self-improvement enterprise. They talk about modeling. You find somebody that's doing something you love and you model yourself after them. What behavior? How do they hold themselves? How do they stand, right? They slouch, this or that. What kind of emotions? How do they talk? What words do they use? So you want to think about that with these artists. What kind of shape language are they using? And get scientific. What are the colors? Is red, yellow? Is there blue? Are they using like a phthalo green? Are they using a orangish red? Are they using a cool red? Get scientific as hell on that artwork, right? How much darkness is there? The 60% darkness. Do they cut out shapes a lot so that there's a lot of silhouettes and then random forms in there, right? And you start to model that work after that. You're not trying to copy it. You're trying to understand its individual elements. And the individual elements are, what's its shape language? A lot of triangles, a lot of jaggies, or is it nice, soft, and round, right? Does it have things that cut across it? Investigate that. So often as artists, we get caught into this mindset of, I gotta create something from myself, right? It has to be from me. Okay. It has to be from you in terms of its intent and its purity. Beyond that, the rest of it is BS, because nobody creates anything that's entirely their own and unique, right? Van Gogh, not unique. There was other people doing that, One brush stroke, it's Cezanne with thick paint, okay? Look at Francis Bacon. We all look at artists like this that do these twisted, weird things like that. How did Francis Bacon come up with stuff? Google Francis Bacon's studio. He walked on the top of photographs until the pigments came up and they crinkled and wrapped around each other, picked it up off the floor, and he said, that's a Francis Bacon. I'm going to paint that now. And he painted the same thing, right? You've got paintings that are worth $170 million that the source material of it, Francis Bacon was stepping on for years. Until, oh, that's a Francis Bacon painting, I'll paint that. Next thing you know, 50 years later, $170 million, and some dude has that sitting on his wall, right? And he paid $170 million for that pleasure. You and I are sitting here like, how do I create this thing out of my mind? Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way, all right? That's the land of magical thinking. That's not how this works. This works via process, iteration, getting in the flow, working it, working the problem, right? Creating, destroying, step on everything, right? Create chaos. That's how we do it. A remnant. Nicola, I think I just answered your question. What do you keep in close proximity when creating concepts? It's their shape language, the way in which they use values, the colors they use. That's our proximity. Does that make sense? Oh man, my nose. You guys are funny. Porn elves and centaurs and guns. Porn elves with guns. Jean-Paul, developing your own indie game? That's awesome. Amen is right. Best way to work with high poly sculpts and ZBrush for someone who doesn't have a top tier engine. Got to get more specific, Remkin. Best way, because I mean, there's tools like Subtools helps divide things up and whatnot. Clay Buildup is a brush that helps you a lot with that kind of thing. But then the other one is try to keep your low res so you can kind of work that over and over a little bit too. But once you get into high res, you know, Subtools is your asset if your system isn't up to it. It was designed, Subtools were designed not for organization. The only reason Subtools was designed, I was there when it was designed. I was part of that team. And the only reason we made it is because it was a multiplier for polygons. If your system could handle 2 million, now you could handle 8 million, 10 million, right? That was some odd years, 8 years ago when you know. Now it's, if your system handles 10 million, well, you can get 60 million. Smoggles, have you thought of making a pipeline tutorial that goes through the entire workflow from concept all the way to low poly? Here's the thing, Smoggles, because I've done that stuff. Remember, I've been at this for a while. And I was like one of the first people. I created the Z pipeline tutorials a long time ago with my awesome friend, Scott Spencer. And this is a linear process. That time has passed. Now what you and I need is we need iterative, lots of concepts, and we need to get in and go through idea. That's why I'm doing this as opposed to a pipeline, because this pipeline doesn't exist anymore. Like, this job is going away. You need to be able to come up with ideas. You need to be able to generate ideas, move through things quickly, be able to tweak something, create iterations. If I have an employee that shows me one design, one graphic design, I'm handicapped. And I'm not handicapped because of my ability. I'm handicapped because that person gave me one design. I need 5 designs. And then that's a conversation, as opposed to a dictatorship. I need a conversation. People need conversations today. If you're going to work at Black & Decker and all these different places, you don't go to a meeting and you show one thing, right? You know, maybe a client is showing one thing, but you and I, we're showing our bosses 5 things. And they're saying, I like this, I don't like this, I like this. And then you come back and you show another 5 things. You have to have iterations. Process. Process is the biggest thing to me right now, because I have students. A good friend of mine, James, was asking the other day, he's like, I'm not a creative person. I'm not, and I don't even feel comfortable calling myself an artist because I need to observe things. My wife said the same thing to me. She's an architect, and she's like, these architect friends just like create these things out of their head, and I don't know how they do it. I have to get in and feel it, right? And welcome to the club. I'm the exact same way. We have to feel the world. We have to feel it, it's almost like we process everything through our body. That's called kinesthetic learning. That's a kinesthetic approach to life. It's 5% of us, not a lot. Preschoolers, 37%. It's the biggest form of learning for preschoolers. 32% visual, 30 something, yada yada. I can't remember the other one. Auditory, right? We know kids don't learn, so that's definitely not, don't listen. That's definitely not their mode. Kids are kinesthetic. Isn't it kind of weird? Artists tend to be maybe kinesthetic. Kids tend to be kinesthetic. So how does that whole thing kind of work? And how does this operate? So we're kids inside, right? All right, now hold on one second. I'm gonna have you guys just wait one moment. I'm gonna show you something actually. I'm gonna show you some things I started working on. So keep the questions coming. Give me 1 minute.
Good morning, Brian. Yeah. David. How are you? Good.
All right, guys, I'm back. Let me double check this. Now, where are we at? We're at about 1 hour. Let me kind of wind this up with you guys. See how you're doing. Yeah, thanks. Okay, we're back. All right, Nicola, I meant, what do you keep close by? Foods, what keeps you going? Look, one of the key elements, and this is, I'm not a health guru, but one of the key elements is blood sugar, glucose level. So I keep crackers. Because, sometimes I teach like 6 hours and I have a little tiny break, not enough for lunch. So keep water, keep crackers. I have these, they're called Belvita. And the Belvita, it helps increase my blood sugar. It just helps stabilize it, right? You got to have fiberish kind of things that keep your blood sugar level going, because you and I both know what happens when the blood sugar crashes, and that's when the demons come out. That's when all kinds of critical stuff comes out. So, all right. Now, here's the deal. I got a webinar with Josh Herman on Thursday. I'm going to email you about that right now. So, what I want you to be thinking about, I want you to join me then. Sign up for Gurmach now if you want Gurmach. Sign up for that now and join me there, because the key thing with Gurmach's going to be all about creating this iterative process inside ourselves. Not being judgmental, but iterating, and you will iterate. So check out the curriculum on his webinar page. I'll make sure you've got that. Check out that curriculum. It's going to be awesome. It's actually one of the first of its kind on this level. It's more, this iterative process is the thing that I'm pushing right now. Okay. Then when I have Josh Herman on, what we're going to do is we're going to offer Josh's class, but I'm going to give you a bundle. So I want you to think about this, because it's not going to be cheap. It's going to be an investment, but we will offer like 6-month payment plans. So these two classes together, you're talking about architecture, spaceships, design process. You're learning from a guy who spent 8 years of his life just learning design. That's in school, and he went to SciArt, same place my wife went. It is an intense school. They are serious about design. You're going to learn about design with him. You don't want to know how much he's paid on his education. It's insane. So this class at this price, this is kind of like amazing. So we're going to have that. Then we have Josh Herman coming on. So these are these two classes. Usually they're like $698. And we'll have some bundle that combines them and merges them into this one master class on concept iterative design. And I will throw in a foundation of introduction to 3D concepting, where I'll make sure that you've got some Keyshot, some ZBrush, some Maya, and then also this idea of proximity. Because the most important thing for me is that you are getting a job, you are putting yourself in proximity to other people, and you are putting them into proximity in their mind. So that's going to be shape language. It's going to be colors. It's going to be all these different things that you do, right? This is what's going to be important. That's what we're going to do. So make sure you register today, because we'll give you a special upgrade. If you register today, we'll give you a special upgrade into Josh. Get in there today, and let's get this going. Now, I'm going to turn the cameras off, but I'm going to still be around answering questions on this page if you need anything. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. And, I love these, and I really love the questions that you guys have been asking. Remkin, when you add it to cart, the payments are on the plans are on the side. Right now there's 4 payment options. So you can do 1 payment every single month, right? But it's once you get into you add to cart, that's when it goes there. And you'll see it in the cart, just on the right-hand side. So, all right. Anything else? Sign up today. We're going to give you a special discount on Josh's class when you go, if you do. And I'm really looking forward, because this is all about proximity. It's all about you. It's all about this next generation of concepting. I'm really excited about this. I'm more excited than I've been in a long time. I've been working on my art and other things, and this is the first time I've gotten really involved in this, and probably I think about 2 years. So I think we have a moment in time to be ahead of the market, ahead of the curve, so that we are building the skills that Black & Decker and these guys, they just need, right? All right. Take care of yourselves. I will talk to you soon. Again, I'm going to be around here for a little bit just answering questions. And thank you again so much for being part. Ciao.